was a screen shot and just a great save by Rick Tabaracci on Trevor Linden.
Chance for Greg Adams. He's 1 goal in his last 12.
It took a long time for Andy Van Hellemond to blow that whistle. Now watch. Troy Murray tries to hit Cliff Ronning. Misses. Ronning sets up Linden, but look at Adams go to the net. There's the save. Now watch Andy Van Hellemond. He can't see the puck, but he doesn't blow the whistle right away. And that allows Ronning a chance to get to the puck. Now look at Ronning. He sees the hit coming, gets out of the way, and sets up Trevor Linden. And a great save by Rick Tabaracci again.
That's got the crowd all churned up. But has Tabaracci been cool in this series? 4-2-2 this year against the Canucks. Larionov now with Bure and Momesso. Puck cleared by the Jets to center ice, and we've got a penalty behind the play. And it looks like it could be the veteran Randy Gregg seeing his first action in the series. And 33 seconds into the game, he's going off, but so is Darren Shannon of the Jets.
Shannon was getting the tripping penalty, and Randy Gregg for cross-checking. No man advantage. The faceoff comes outside. Andy Van Hellemond knows that this is going to be an emotional game, trying to put a cap on it early. Now watch Darren Shannon trying to get it out, and there he's cross-checked by Randy Gregg. And then he got up and tripped Gregg as Gregg tried to get back into the play.
The veteran Gregg playing in his 131st Stanley Cup playoff game.
We thought he might play in Game 4 in Winnipeg as Gerald Diddick had a minor groin pull. Diddick is out tonight and Gregg is in.
Puck cleared in by the Canucks. Mike Lawler, he's been impressive in this series ahead to Debelois. A couple of former Montreal Canadiens. They clear it in, and the Jets make a change. Lume, rink wide to Nedved. He was lined up by Thomas Steen. Puck slides down into the Winnipeg zone. Davidoff touches it, icing the call, and Davidoff just got out of the way of Jim Sandlak. Well, the Detroit Red Wings responding on home ice tonight. They force a Game 6, so the Canucks facing the possibility of being the first team eliminated. St. Louis and Chicago tied. Steve Larmer just scored to tie that game, and the series tied at 2 apiece.
Tim Cheveldae bouncing back and getting the shutout for Detroit. Now look at Keith Tkachuk on Jyrki Lume. And then at the other end, Jim Sandlak tried to get Evgeny Davidoff. The Jets thought it was a late hit. That's why they went after Sandlak, but Andy Van Hellemond didn't see it that way. No penalty called.
Jets have had just 1 loss in their last 12 games. Really on a roll. The Canucks going the other way. 3 wins in their last 13. Have to get the momentum turned around. Olsen. He was hit by Momesso. Robert Dirk at center. Bumped by Davidoff. Clears it in. Teppo Newman goes back to get it. Larionov was dragged down. Crowd reacting to that. And Davidoff was knocked flat. They're off to a good start here. Pass ahead to Momesso. Lume moving up on the play. Flipped into the corner. Lume going after it. Bumped by Lawler. Kicks it free to Larionov. He's hit by Troy Murray. Momesso drops it off for Larionov. Momesso puts it in front. Tabaracci steers it aside. Phil Sykes took a hit from Momesso and gets it to center. Lume. Lead pass. Bure couldn't handle it. Sykes now steps over the red line, and you can see the Canucks with a little more jump to start this game. We're a minute 53 in. Tkachuk. Sidestep to check. Puts it behind the goal. Centered out in front. Back to the point to Housley. There's the wrist shot. Went wide. McLean was screened and didn't see it. Lidster dragged down by Tkachuk. Murray goes into the corner. And the Canucks come up with it. Kept in by Ulanov, and he'll flip it to the corner. Momesso now in his skates. Bumped by Debelois. Double teamed, and Debelois goes down. Lidster starts back for Vancouver. Bure all tied up. Knocked down by Tkachuk. And here's the first power play of the game, and it will go to the Vancouver Canucks as Tkachuk is headed to the penalty box.
Tkachuk has called for interference on Pavel Bure. Look at Darren Shannon's already there with Randy Gregg. Now watch Tkachuk on Bure. Bure waves at the puck, and that's why Tkachuk took him. But Bure missed the puck. Interference called by referee Andy Van Hellemond.
Asked John Paddock this morning if he was going to warn his players about Pat Quinn's statements. Quinn calling for more penalties by the referees for interference like that. John said if they call more on us, they'll have to call more on the Canucks, because we play the exact style of game the Canucks and Pat Quinn taught me.
You look at the power plays, the Canucks 1 for 23 overall, but the power plays 23 for Vancouver, 24 for Winnipeg, so John Paddock does have a point. It's pretty even for both teams.
Here come the Canucks on that power play that struggled so dramatically so far in the series. 1 for 23. Again, a shoot-in that didn't work.
A shoot-in right at Rick Tabaracci, and not a hard one. He was able to control the rebound, and he shoots the puck so well, it was an easy clear the zone.
Linden, Adams, Ronning with Plavsic and Babbage on the points, and they can't get over the line.
There's another shoot-in try that hit Randy Carlyle on a soft little shoot-in with no direction.
Now they skate into the zone. Adams shoots. Big stop, Tabaracci. He's sharp again tonight. Babbage in the corner. Linden, the only power play goal for the Canucks, off the boards in front. Tabaracci clears, kept in. Plavsic shooting. Another save by Tabaracci. Already faced 6 shots in the game. 3.5 minutes old. Plavsic shot off the skate of Carlyle to the corner. Off the glass, Bunny Hop, and Sykes gets it outside the line. We expected to see Bure on the point in this game. Not yet. Carlyle clears it down.
There's another attempted shoot-in, but Randy Carlyle read it so well, he was right there to knock it down and get it down the ice.
Here's Lume. Sandlack on the right wing. Momesso inside the line. Lume takes the pass. Tied up by Lawler. Newman around the boards. Deblois on the far side. Here's a 2-on-1 Winnipeg. Murray on the left wing. Deblois. Momesso got back in a sharp angle shot. Handled easily by McLean. Here comes Bure for Vancouver. Over the line. Fake the shot. Lume shoots right on. Tabaracci will hold on for a face-off with 7 seconds left in the Vancouver power play.
Winnipeg Jets have been on a roll, so why change their lineup? Dean Kennedy has skated, is expected back maybe in the middle of May, should the Jets go that far. Mike Hartman, many people thought he might dress tonight, but Sean Cronin is back in, so Hartman is out. The Jets dressing 7 defensemen again. The Vancouver Canucks have Jeff Portnoy back in the lineup. And they have those scratches. Now watch this. Pavel Bure, watch the speed. And it backs the defense up and gives Jyrki Lume some room. But look at Rick Tabaracci out cutting down the angle well, staying on his feet, making it look easy.
Already 7 saves in the game for Tabaracci as the Canucks have started with some jump tonight. Still being thwarted by that great goaltending. Now Tkachuk's back on the ice and the Jets at full strength. Rolanov in his own zone. He's hit by Tom Fergus. Murray's hit by Fergus. Ulanov around the boards. Tkachuk gets it to the line and out. Lume in front of the Jet bench. Ulanov around the boards. Murray lets it go. It'll slide down the ice, but waved off. Babbage had a play. The veteran Babbage, watched by Davidov, ahead to Nedved, earning his 2nd straight start. Sandlack inside the line, and that was broken up by Ulanov. Nedved looking for Babbage, cleared away. Housley kicks it ahead off the skate of Davidov. And it's cleared over the glass by Lidster, out of play. Great start for the Canucks, but still no goals.
Back to Vancouver as we go to Chicago for an update. Steve Larmer hadn't scored in the playoffs until tonight. He has the pair for the Blackhawks. This one, Stefan Matteau screens Joseph in front. Larmer's 2nd goal of the evening, the one that deadlocked the game 3-3. There's 5 minutes to play in the 2nd period at Chicago Stadium.
Igor Ulanov hit by Tom Ferguson. Look at Ulanov gets ready for the hit and bounces off. Tom Ferguson doing his bit in the physical part.
14:40 to play, first period, no score at the Pacific Coliseum in Game 5 of this Smythe semi. Frederick Olesen works his way to the line. Kachuk jumped the gun and is in offside.
The way the Jets have started this period, I'm sure that John Paddock would have liked Olesen just to dump it in. Kachuk with some good speed, a chance to set up the forecheck. Frederick Olesen didn't see a whole lot of ice time in Game 4. John Paddock decided that he wasn't playing as well as he should have been, and that's one thing with Paddock. If you don't start off well in the first period, chances are you won't be around by the third.
From the face-off, Randy Gregg clears it on the left side for Plavsic, working in against Olesen. Olesen with the defensive play. In the middle to Broughton, and out he skates. Broughton with Elnick and Kachuk. Here's Kachuk going to the net. Gregg made the defensive play on Broughton. Kachuk in the corner. Jeff Courtnall returning to the lineup, but Kachuk works out in front. Now Cron up to Courtnall. They need some offense out of Courtnall. Works his way in, playing with Walter and Cron on the fourth line. Kachuk and Lume get their sticks up. Lume keeps it in. Clears it past Van Helleman to the corner. Olesen takes a bump, gets it to Carlisle. Out comes the veteran Carlisle, and he drills it in on McLean. And the Jets make a change as Steen, Olczyk, and Davidov come out. Here's Ronning with Linden and Adam. They hit the line. Lume joins the rush, and Ulanov just got a stick on that to break up a dangerous play by Jyrki Lume. There's Adams and Ulanov in the corner. Olczyk ridden out off the puck. Linden centered it and handed it to Housley. Back comes the Jet defenseman to the line. Olczyk heading to the net. Housley in front, deflected wide by Olczyk. Davidov. Ulanov going out in front. Davidov hangs on, backhand, blocked by Ronning. Davidov in the corner again. Lost control of it. McLean hands off to Dirk, but there's Davidov again forechecking. Back around behind the net for Olczyk. McLean's fallen down. Dirk tries to clear it. And Lawler couldn't keep it in at the blue line. Davidov, after a good shift, backhands it in and goes to the bench.
I don't think Kirk McLean saw Eddie Olczyk there. He went out to play the puck, just ran into him and fell down.
Mike Lawler at his own line, gives it to Momesso. Momesso lost control, and Eagles. Checked by Ronning. 12-12 to go. First period, still no score. Shot 7-2 in favor of Vancouver. Larionov gets another shot, handled by Tabaracci, and had a little trouble with the rebound, but does cover up with Sergio Momesso cruising around the net.
Couple of tough highlights for goaltenders coming up here, John Garrett. This one's an update from the stadium in Chicago. Brad Lauer behind the goal will get the loose puck from Steve Smith, and he quickly goes around with it. He can score his first in the playoffs. The Hawks lead 4-3.
And a tough play by Kirk McLean. Now watch Olczyk sneak in behind, and look at Kirk McLean. Doesn't see him at all. Gets his feet tangled up, trips over Olczyk. Fortunately for McLean, the Jets didn't come up with the puck.
Troy Murray on this face-off for Winnipeg against Peter Nedved. Babic at the point. Changed direction, goes to the corner. Eagles flips it to the line and out, and Babic turns at center. Peter Nedved. Tough season for Nedved, but he showed some promise in Game 4. Gives it to Sandlak. Sandlak puts it in the slot. Lindster shot, and that was blocked and goes to the corner. Babic keeps it in. Puts it in front. Jets clear ahead to Shannon and out to center ice. Canucks controlling here in the first 10 minutes. Nothing to show for it yet. Darren Shannon chases after it, and there's Randy Gregg. Cross ice to Plavsic. A couple of former Canadian Olympians on the points for Vancouver right now. Trying to turn away from Tom Fergus, who gets his stick up with Olesen. Clavsic. 9 minutes gone, first period. Lariana turned back by Carlisle. Now Bure. Look at the Jets lining up 4 across the blue line. The Canucks can't break through. Sykes clears it back. Now Bure steals. Here's Pavel Bure. In. Tabaracci again. Bure has it. Pavel Bure. And Carlisle made the defensive play that time. But the Russian Rocket looks like he's going tonight.
Canucks with all sorts of pressure, but Rick Tabaracci keeping his team in. The longer he does that, the better chance the Jets have.
Bure back for more with Momesso. Shot blocked by Ulanov. Ulanov steals, almost lost it in front, but gets it ahead to Housley. Right wing for Lucien Deblois. Deblois hooked down by Robert Dirk. After Dirk allowed Deblois to get by him, and we'll see the Jets on the power play for the first time in the game.
Once the game has started, it's time to find a waiter and find the best seats in the house. Many use friendly conversation, but speed and agility are also necessary to move up to a better view, closer to the screen. And for the best seats in the house, whatever the house, head for the Molson Canadian Hockey Connection. You're there with special games, giveaways, even trips to the Stanley Cup. Molson Canadian, with beers all about.
Robert Dirk misplays the puck, and Lucien Deblois jumps by him, and right there, Dirk, a pretty good hook, and Deblois makes sure that Andy Van Hellemond sees it. Now watch Pavel Bure. The steal goes around Phil Sykes, but watch Rick Tabaracci. Waits for Bure to make the move. And then Bure again wide, and again watch Phil Sykes and Mike Eagles wave at Bure. Don't take the body, and Randy Carlisle stayed right with him and made the defensive play. Sykes and Eagles and the group of defensive forwards that the Jets have done a great job on Bure by taking the body, staying close enough to him so they're not reaching with the stick. And there we saw a replay where they had to reach and they couldn't get to Bure.
There you see the Jet stats on the power play at 25% in this series. That's 5th among the Stanley Cup playoff teams.
A chance to turn the momentum around on one power play. It's been all Vancouver Canucks for the first 10 minutes.
Thomas Steen lost the draw for Winnipeg, and it's Lidster. Band on that clear, but got it out to center. Olesen and Housley, 29 shots on goal between these two so far in the series. Here they come. Thomas Steen got through. Steen shoots. McLean got a piece of that. The rebound went by Tkachuk. Kron, who has a shorthanded goal for Vancouver, lost control. Steen in the corner. Tkachuk and Elnick up front. Here's Housley, tees it up, didn't have much on that, but the rebound's loose. Cleared to the corner. Tkachuk to Olesen. Housley's gone to the bench for a new stick. Now he's back in the play. Olesen. Steen comes across to Housley. Olesen just kept it in. Kron steals. Now Kron, Ryan Walter catches up 2-on-1. Kron fires high. Lidster moves up 2. Puts it behind the goal, and now the Canucks will change their penalty killers. And Olesen wants to get a change as well. He drops it off for Housley. Clearing it in with 50 seconds to go in the Jet power play, and it goes past Housley down the ice.
By the time Housley shot it in, all the Jets were standing still, and it was an easy play for Lume to get back and clear the zone.
Bill Housley staying out. Shannon up front now with Olczyk. And Davidoff centered in front, and it's Adrian Clavsic coming back with Bure. They hit the line. Bure winds up, shot right on. That's save number 10 by Tabaracci. 8:23 to go, first period. Canucks trying to find a way to score on the Jet goaltender. Newman to Davidoff. Hits the line. Davidoff shot right on. McLean made a good save there as Davidoff goes to the net and is hauled down. 1 second left as the Canucks kill the power play. A gloomy evening so far in Vancouver, and Canuck fans hope that is not reflective of the end result tonight as we come inside to the Pacific Coliseum, where it's been a great start for the Canucks, and yet Rick Tabaracci's been standing in their way again.
You look at the Winnipeg Jets, they're talking it over as there's only 1 second left in the penalty to Robert Dirk, making sure they don't get caught right on the faceoff. All Tabaracci, but you look at the Jets, they've had 2 pretty good scoring chances. Thomas Steen danced through, Kirk McLean stopped that one, and that shot by Davidoff from the slot area, about 20 feet out, right in the middle, and McLean handled that one.
The captains in on this faceoff, Linden and Murray. Newman and couldn't handle the bouncing puck. Down the shot. That was labeled for the corner. But for Kirk
McLean. Who was the first car maker over 30 years ago to build vehicles with seat belts, to make safety glass standard? The first North American car maker to offer anti-lock brakes and offer more models with dual airbags than any other manufacturer, the Ford Motor Company. That's who.
We're committed to making safety innovation an important part of quality.
The Ford Motor Company. Quality is job one. It's working.
Kirk McLean almost slid right by the net. Now watch this shot by Newman, and look at where McLean is. He loses the net and has to reach out to make the save. And Newman didn't get a whole lot on that, but good recovery by Kirk McLean.
6 saves by McLean so far, and he has been tested. 10 at the other end for Tabaracci. 8 minutes to go. First period in a scoreless tie. There's a chance in front. Deplois just shot wide. McLean clears to the corner. Greg Adams up with it. And Ed Ronning. He flips it high in the air, and Tabaracci avoids what could have been a bad bounce by scooping it and holding it for a faceoff.
Trevor Linden driving to the net, and Rick Tabaracci hanging on. One of the things about Tabaracci is sometimes he tries to play those kind when it's a dangerous play. Now watch this time, he plays it very safe. Now look at all the forwards trying to hold up Linden, Broughton, Carlisle, and Linden still gets through to the goaltender. Canucks have to do more of that, driving through the little interference in the hooks of the Winnipeg Jets if they want to be successful. And you see Tabaracci talking it over with Andy Van Hellemond as something's thrown on the ice. We'll have a little stoppage here. And the officials don't want to handle this, whatever it is. Chris, I'm not even going to try and guess what it is that's been thrown on the ice.
I think we're in the Olympia.
The Olympia, the old Olympia with the squid on the ice. Fresh squid here in Vancouver. Doesn't look so fresh now.
It looked like dinner last night.
I don't know where you went for dinner, but I'm glad I wasn't anywhere near it. And you notice the officials were nowhere near it. Now, Andy Van Hellemond was talking to Rick Tabaracci. Now, watch Tabaracci. He's a real competitor. Linden bumps into him. And watch Tabaracci's little reaction right here with the butt end of his stick. Okay, you want to play tough? I wasn't even looking at you. A little touch. Just to let you know that if you come to get me, I've got the giant equalizer in my hands.
1 loss in his last 9 games. He's going through quite a stretch right now. He says it's great to have the confidence of the coaching staff and the players with you. He said he really didn't have that last year. He'd get a start and then be sat down. Really feels a new lease on life with John Paddock as the coach. Trevor Linden spins away from Deplois. To the front. Good shot. Deflects high over Tabaracci. Lidster. Challenged by Murray, and it comes outside the line. Ronning gets by Deplois, hits the line, drops it off. There's Babbage. And that one doesn't get through either. Lawler cleared. Babbage ahead to Linden. Sends it back in. Mike Lawler gets there first for Winnipeg. Lawler rinked wide. Looked like they had too many men on the ice for a brief second. Davidoff jumped on and off. Ronning intercepts that clear. He's hooked down. Penalty coming up. Thomas Steen with the hook. And the Vancouver Canucks, who are 1 for 24 on the power play in the series, will try to get that power play on track.
Thomas Steen reached around Cliff Ronning. Now watch Steen right here reach over the shoulder on Ronning. And Ronning takes the opportunity to go down, gets the hooking penalty. Now watch Aaron Broughton on Trevor Linden. Broughton gets position, gets a stick in his feet. And Linden, the much larger player, can't get by Aaron Broughton.
Well, I mentioned there was talk of Bure playing the point on the power play. He is there now. Larionov's up front with Sandlak and Portnoy. Lume and Bure are the point men.
Gary Gauthier is having a little trouble with the lineup here as Troy Murray jumped through, headed to Pavel Bure.
Murray, Eagles, Lawler, Newman are the penalty killers. Jets control the draw, and that was quick.
And again, Eagles and Murray out just for the face-off. Troy Murray headed right for the bench and was replaced by Phil Sykes.
Lume will get it started, hands it off to Larionov. Back to Lume. Challenged by Newman. Here's Bure at the right point. Sandlak causing a commotion in front. Lume back to Bure. Larionov. Newman on him. Here's a chance. Portnoy whipped it wide. Lume puts it in front. Quite a scrum there, and it went wide. 3 Canucks right in front of Tabaracci. Sandlak into the corner. Larionov can't reach it. Knocked around the boards. Bure bumped by Eagles and knocked down. Crowd reacts to that. Here's a chance for Lume. Bouncing puck. Sykes knocks the puck. Knocks Lume, but it's kept in. Sandlak flips it towards the net. Tabaracci will clear it with 52 seconds left in the man advantage.
And again, Rick Tabaracci handling that puck is so good. He stopped one behind the net, let his defenseman get it around, and that time handled the chore himself.
Now it's Plavsic. Ahead to Linden. Got by one man. Adams and Ronning go to the net. Babbage is out as the other point man now. Plavsic to Babbage. One-timer in front. Adams! Great save! Tabaracci again! And he really has Greg Adams' number.
And Trevor Linden was there trying to look for the rebound, and Igor Ulanov again right on Trevor Linden. Now watch Tabaracci. Pavel Bure tried the same thing. Pull it to his forehand and go wide. Look at Tabaracci. Wait, and then cover up the rebound. And look at Linden there, the swing at the puck. And Ulanov, it's Linden. Now watch Mike Eagles and Pavel Bure right here. Eagles just slams Bure to the ice. And the Jets do a good job killing this penalty off. 24 seconds left in the Canuck advantage.
Tabaracci was second in save percentage at .932 behind Chris Terreri going into this game. Babbage at the point, goes into the corner, running after it. Already tonight, 11 saves for Tabaracci. Now Linden. Back to Babbage. Cross ice. Plavsic winds up, and that goes off Murray, and that hurt. 3 seconds left. Running. Down to Adams. Tabaracci down. They bang away. And Tabaracci keeps it out. And the penalty is over. The Canucks 0 for 2 tonight with the man advantage.
Priority Courier, I have a pickup.
Call Priority Courier for overnight delivery, and you're dealing with Canada's largest courier network. You've got the whole country covered. Evenings and weekends, too. Priority Courier gets it there overnight, guaranteed. Because your priorities are ours.
Rick Tabaracci with a big save again on Greg Adams. And look at Trevor Linden in front with Ulanov. And look at Tabaracci. Stays on his feet until he makes a save and then goes down, covers up. And in comes Carlisle. Linden's there with Ulanov, gives Carlisle a shove, but then doesn't follow through on it. And the Jets fill it up.
Early in the series, Pat Quinn said, I think my guys are squeezing the stick too tight, but how do you beat this guy when he's playing as hot as Tabaracci has been? Now Ulanov loses possession, Sandlak behind the goal. Tom Fergus, a point in each game of this series. Lost control, Jets can't clear at Sandlak. Broken up, and Steen clears to center. 4:18 to go, first period.
Had that pass got through, and Jenny Davidoff was in behind the defense, and both Jets, it would have been a 2-on-1. Davidoff and Ed Olczyk on the second attempted pass.
Sandlak one-hands it to the Jet line. There's Housley to Davidoff, who's been skating well in the period. Lined up there by Sandlak, and that hurt. Sandlak knocked Davidoff right into the cameraman.
And I think Davidoff got the camera in the face as he was crunched by Jim Sandlak.
And now Davidoff has words with the Canuck bench.
And you see they are talking to the cameraman. The Jets are saying this is a hit from behind. Now, is Davidoff all the way turned around? No, it's from the side. But look at Davidoff goes right into the camera. As our cameraman couldn't get out of the way fast enough, a quickly developing play, he got turned around, and it was into the side of the camera. And look at the cut on Davidoff just above the eye.
Davidoff got blindsided, and so did our cameraman. And that really has tempers.
Where do you climb out, that way?
And now
starting to fray.
Our cameraman is being asked to move as Andy Van Helleman. Now, cameras in almost every rink, they have them between the benches like that. It's an unfortunate situation, but really, it's part of the game. Now, watch the cameraman. He's turned sideways. He got the camera turned around so that it wasn't right into the lens. But that's not going to help with Jenny Davidoff as the doctor's stitching him up.
Davidoff hurt, and I'm sure Glenn Weston, who is down there for us, is a little shaken up as well.
And Glenn is being asked to move. Pat Quinn asked one of the cameramen to move in an earlier game this year after there was a scene with Tom Watt in a Toronto game where the sound had been turned up, and Pat Quinn did not want the same thing to happen to him. And you look at Davidoff, he's going to have a little mouse over the eye. Now watch the hit by Sandlak. Is there an elbow? Good hit by Sandlak on Davidoff, and the camera is turned towards Pat Quinn. And Glenn Weston is being asked to move. He'll have to take up a different spot here at the Coliseum.
After a hit like that, he might take the rest of the night off.
Take the night off.
I was talking to Igor Cooperman today, who is with the Jets, a former Soviet reporter who is now just a Russian liaison for the Jets, and he was saying that Davidoff still has to learn to adapt to the NHL style of play. I don't think you have to worry about bumping into cameras over in Russia.
And they talked about the playoffs, a number of reporters covering the playoffs. They said there was only 2 reporters in all the Soviet Union, and when Igor Cooperman came over here with the Jets, there was only 1 left. Getting foggy down in the Vancouver zone in particular as the Canucks have carried the play. In the Jet zone, it's pretty clear. It's pretty humid outside. Training camp type weather, spring playoff weather here in Vancouver.
Well, no penalty to Sandlak, nor to our cameraman, and we continue at full strength. Now shoots right on! And is he ever hot? Rick Tabaracci has been the story of this first period. Coming up, first intermission, Don Cherry in the coach's corner along with Ron McLean.
Now, does this remind you of Bill Ranford in 1990? Watch the way Tabaracci gets a left hand out, snags the puck, and then he threw it on the ice. And that's a sign of confidence from the goaltender. Ranford used to flip it up on the back of his glove. Tabaracci spiking it in the Jet net.
And I found out a secret of how he's gotten so hot in these playoffs.
No.
Puts a heating pad on his back before the game.
Now you're going to have all the goaltenders with the heating pads on their back. You think that'll work?
You might come out of retirement to try that. Newman hands it to Adams. Tabaracci again. Craig Adams with 3 great chances in this first period. And what a giveaway that was. Well, we talked about how effective effective the Jets' defense has been in this series, but they sure left Tabaracci alone there. Icing the call against the Canucks. It's now 15 shots on Tabaracci and at least 5 great scoring chances.
And you can bet Teppo Newman, and with only 3:25 left, will make sure that he goes over to Rick Tabaracci during the intermission and says, "Thank you very much, Tabby." Now here's Linden forechecking the little hook on Newman, and Newman mishandles the puck. There's Greg Adams, but again, Tabaracci waits, stays on his feet, and he was even in position had Adams hit that rebound. Now there's the forechecking. Watch Tabaracci. He's still there, and even if Adams would have hit the rebound, Tabaracci still would have been in position for that.
Well, John Paddock said Teppo Newman has been one of his best players in this series, but you don't want to make mistakes like that with Paddock as your coach. When the Jets gave up that goal in Game 4, Ed Olczyk and Frederick Olesen spent some time on the bench. And we'll see if Newman misses a shift after that error. Adrian Plavsic with 3:20 to go in this first period. Behind the goal, Ulanov wraps it around the boards. Broken up by Larionov. Here's Momesso. To Plavsic. Winds up, shot high. Larionov took Murray to the boards. Randy Gregg into Larionov. Momesso dragged down and flipped by Housley. Bure took the shot. That deflects high and into the crowd. And Bure had words with Troy Murray.
And now Momesso is trying to get to Tabaracci, and there's Phil Housley. And that's one of the things. They're just trying to throw Tabaracci off his game. He is playing so well. Anything they can do. And Tabaracci, as Graves said, he's a fierce competitor. He's just going to try that much harder. Now watch Tabaracci and Momesso. A little chat here. Stick on the hand.
Momesso elbowed Tabaracci in Game 2, and they may still be talking about that because that infuriated the Jets.
And Tabaracci has words. Now watch Pavel Bure, and he's lucky he doesn't get a penalty on this one. He's hit by Troy Murray. Now look at this little shot right there. And usually Andy Van Hellemond would call that, but he had his back turned. He was watching Tabaracci and Momesso and didn't see that little retaliation.
Tabaracci will be anxious, I think, to see the intermission get a break after what's been a hectic but brilliantly played first period by him. 2:50 to go. Still no score. Canucks have outshot the Jets 15-6. At the line, Bure has it again. Watched by Deblois. Murray over there chopping at it. Bure stays with it. Gets some help from Momesso to Larionov. Bure backhand scores!
The backhand. Now watch Bure. 2 Jets go for Larionov. Bure circles the wagons, goes outside, gets it on his backhand, and gets it away in so close that Tabaracci can't react. Now look at 2 players on Larionov, where he's got some room, and before Mike Eagles can haul him down, it's in the net.
He went 3 games without a goal. Really ineffective, but he's shown a lot more determination in the first period of this one. Pavel Bure gets the Canucks on the board and finally solves Rick Tabaracci at the 17:30 mark of this first period.
The Winnipeg Jets have made more mental errors here in the first period than they have in the previous 4 games with giveaways and just little mental things. 2 men going after Larionov and leaving Bure all by himself.
Bure, Larionov, and Momesso get the assists. The goal 17:30, and boy, did the Canucks need that. Kachuk in front, and Eddie Olczyk didn't see it coming. Jets almost answered right back, but now Roning's on the move. Flip Roning to Linden. They've got Portnoy on the wing with them. Here's Lubeck. Portnoy! Tabaracci! Robert Dirk keeps it in. Portnoy rolls it in, but after allowing the keyed up here.
And now the Canucks driving to the net again on Rick Tabaracci. And the Jets just hanging on.
There was a misconduct handed out after the goal to Sergio Momesso. So he got a 10-minute misconduct after the Bure goal.
Now watch again, the Jets leave Jeff Portnoy all by himself, and Rick Tabaracci read the play well, stayed on his feet with the stick down, made the save. He hangs on. Now watch Cliff Ronning just drive, trying to get at Tabaracci. He knows the whistle's gone. He's trying to get a penalty called. Portnoy's in there with Cliff Ronning and Randy Carlyle. Tabaracci, as you said, Chris, he usually goes through about 3 of those water bottles per game. It's hot in here. I'm sure he's going to go through about a dozen tonight.
There you see the time remaining, first period. It's been a good one for the Canucks. It would have been a great one had it not been for Rick Tabaracci. Ulanov bumping with Linden again. That's a familiar matchup. Now Ronning chops it free. Linden shoots it into the opposite corner. Olczyk around the boards, and it slides out to center where Tkachuk is after it. Lost control. Linden on the move back in. Past Housley. Broken up by Steen. Ulanov ahead for Tkachuk. Too far. And McLean leaves it. You can see there hasn't been much traffic in the Canucks zone. It's a little foggy down there. Linden to the line. As Portnoy loose on the right wing in front for Ronning, and he just missed the pass. Ulanov has Ronning tied up. Portnoy with it. This line reunited. Portnoy, Linden, and Ronning. Housley has Linden tied up. Linden goes down, still sticking with it. Under a minute to go in the first period. Portnoy. Jets on the run a bit. And now Winnipeg comes out. Broken up and sent down the ice. Ronning giving chase against Ulanov. Drops it for Portnoy. Ulanov knocked Ronning in the corner. Here comes another penalty. And with 37.2 seconds left in the first period, Ulanov's going to the penalty box, and the Canucks are getting another power play.
Ulanov says he was slashed by Cliff Ronning out by the blue line. He had lost his stick. And here's Ronning. Now watch Ulanov. He drops his stick right there, and then he tackles Cliff Ronning right around the neck, a clothesline tackle. He gets a holding penalty. Now Rick Tabaracci has to look, if they do kill off this 37 seconds, starting the second period shorthanded. Phil Housley in his own zone on Trevor Linden. Stays right with him, doesn't skate by him, stays right with him, plays the man, and it's containment. It's not that crushing physical play, it's containment.
Tell you, the Canuck fans giving Winnipeg fans a run for their money now in this first period. As Ron McLean mentioned off the opening, it was a quiet start here, but it's noisy now. Lume has the puck deflecting over the glass 10 seconds into the minor penalty to Ulanov.
Canucks talked about frustration, and they still felt confident. Well, they can't get frustrated in the fact that they're only ahead by a goal. They carried the play completely here in the first period, and it's only the play of Rick Tabaracci that has kept it close.
Lume with the best plus-minus in the series. And Tabaracci with the best goals against average. 27.2 seconds left, and it's Bure, the goal scorer. His shot blocked. Troy Murray up with it, and it goes past Lume out to center. Takes a look at the clock, and now speeds into the Jet zone. Drops it back. Greg Adams on the move. Couldn't get a shot. Murray to Eagles. Kept in by Bure. Here's the shot. Broke his stick. They score! Jim Samlock!
They got a big one there as Bury broke a stick, and he couldn't have feathered the pass better to Jim Sandlak.
Jets were really under the gun in that period. Outshot 19-6. Coming up, Don Cherry in the coach's corner with Ron McLean. The score at the end of the first period at the Pacific Coliseum. Vancouver 2, Winnipeg no score.
We've all been hearing a lot about the work underway to renew our Constitution. This process isn't easy, but it's important. The future of Canada depends on it. Recently, a special joint committee of the House of Commons and the Senate consulted with Canadians across the country, then made a unanimous report to Parliament. It makes recommendations on such matters as Quebec's distinct society and the linguistic duality of Canada, self-government for Aboriginal peoples, Senate reform, a new sharing of responsibilities between governments, a social covenant, and Canadian economic union. This report marks another important step in the renewal of Canada's Constitution. For your copy of the Special Joint Committee's report, call 1-800-561-1188. Get informed. Canada is worth it.
The kids spent all day in that big fridge box, cutting out doors, coloring in windows. At one point, I looked inside, and there they were, fast asleep. Wish I had a picture.
Don't miss the moment. Keep your camera ready with new Kodak Go Plus film for more color than ever before. You can't keep the moment.
It's time to find a waiter and find the best seats in the house. Many use friendly conversation, but speed and agility are also necessary to move up to a better view, closer to the screen. And for the best seats in the house, whatever the house, head for the Molson Canadian Hockey Connection. You're there with special games, giveaways, even trips to the Stanley Cup. Molson Canadian with beers, all about.
And look at you responding in absolutely typical fascism.
At least they got a Bruin tie on. That's the main thing. And everybody likes to take a run at the Lion. Before we get started here, did you see the game this afternoon in Seattle and California? Big brawl.
Watching midget hockey.
Yeah, I switched over. I'm watching a big brawl because there was a brawl on. It went on for 20 minutes, and there was no penalty-free or fair commission. And the announcers didn't say, oh, game marred by brawl, our Canadian and American youth. It's got to go. Funny, eh? It's funny. We haven't had a bench clearing brawl in 4 years.
You found a rough in the diamond. How about your Boston Bruins last night winning in overtime at the Auditorium?
You know, it's a funny thing. The Bruins always find a way to win. And the Sabres always find a way to lose. This team has not gone by the first round since 1983. I'm happy for Rick Bonaso. I really am. This guy had a gun to his head. Harry had it there. Tick, tick, Rick. I'm happy for him. The Bruins, only one superstar. Well, maybe Andy Mogenboke. Guys, name 6 Bruins. You'd have a tough time, but they work together as a team. Nobody roaring down the ice and falling down and the crowd going, oh, oh, oh.
What about the Howard Chuck cut?
Well, you know, it's easy for me to say. I thought maybe it did. The puck did hit him. Hogarth was there, but you know, it's easy. I never noticed it till it was in slow motion, so I guess Ronnie's in trouble, but it's too bad.
Well, I don't know that he is.
Well,
and we both like him, so I hope he isn't.
Yeah,
but,
well, he's not. Well, what'd you ask for it?
Well, just I'm thinking.
You bring it up for 3 million people to see it.
Buffalo.
Very good.
Sorry.
Wife and Barry.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Sorry, Ron. I didn't bring it up to bother him, but I just wonder if Buffalo felt that
your friend.
Destiny. You know, nothing seems to go their way. That's why
your friend, Ronnie.
Year. Yes, he is.
Yeah. What a friend. You don't need enemies, so you got this guy. Believe me.
Sorry. Good of you to stick up for a referee like that. That's wonderful. What about Hartford, Montreal? I can't believe the Whalers either.
All right.
And your friend,
Pat
Peter
Burns.
Angelo.
Pat Burns, a friend of mine. Yes. Kirk, Shane, friends of mine. I am cheering for Habs to win. I want them to win. But don't you love Peter Angelo? Frank Peter Angelo. Think back last year, folks. Think back last year. He goes into New Jersey. Pittsburgh's down 3-2. I'm going to tell you again, whether you like it or not. He wins that game, comes back, 4-0 shutout, standing ovation, never starts another game. 5th game, all-star, all-world, Tom Barrasso bails out again. He comes in, finishes that off, starts the season. Think he'd get a break? No, he doesn't even play. and he's traded to the third worst team in the world. And what does he do? He comes along and he plays #1 star. Isn't it funny? Him and Dino Ciccarelli last week, I featured ISO on my show. You think they don't?
Our show.
Well, yeah, sure. Don't think their parents don't say, hey, Dino, you were on? They played that way. Now, Dino, 4 goals last night. Unbelievable. Now, listen to this, folks. Every time I go in arenas and I see fathers and I say, how's your son doing? He's playing well, but he's too small. The kid's usually standing right there. Think of these two guys. They're little wee guys like that, that they got big hearts. It's like Blue, and I've always said that, my beloved Blue always said, not the size of the dog in a fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. So the next time somebody tells you, kids, you're too small, think of Mr. Clutch. That's what they call Dino on Washington. Think of Mr. Clutch and Frank Pietrangelo. These are little guys with big hearts, and laugh at them and tell them to shove it up their sleeve, all right? Remember that. You don't have to be a big dummy. You can have a heart.
That's a beautiful point. My apologies to Ron Hogarth, and I just want to say in closing, Don, I love the bees on your tie every bit as much as those in your bonnet. In this installment of the Coach's Corner on Molson Hockey Night in Canada.
Okay, this is about hot places, fun faces, and bodies. Ouch. Plus, small dogs, hot dogs, rolling around, riding around, and grocery shopping. That's right, if you're a Safeway shopper. Because now Safeway's got the Air Miles program, your ticket to free flights. So if you want to get away, just shop at Safeway.
United Buy and Sell Furniture Warehouse buys furniture from manufacturers all over the world at huge discounts. You save. Then sells directly to you from low-cost warehouse showrooms. No frills, no gimmicks, low prices. You save. Famous brand-name furniture and mattresses at low warehouse prices. Choosing to buy furniture anywhere else is like choosing to pay higher prices.
United Buy and Sell Furniture Warehouse.
Now there is a world of PowerSmart products available to help you save energy, to help you save money. For the name of a retailer near you, ask us.
Take a step in the right direction. You can't beat the quality.
We have liftoff.
It's fun.
It's cool.
It's one of a kind.
It's a pig?
No, it's street scent.
What's my word of advice for extras?
I thought it was pretty fresh.
It's really cool. You have to see it.
This one's real and this one's fake.
I think it's just another marketing strategy.
These shoes, they hold up to any kind of test we put them through.
Street sense for smart consumers.
Saturday morning on CBC.
The World Individual Gymnastics Championships.
3, 2,
Canada ski legends at the Diet Coke Ski and Snow. And Dive Canada, live from Saskatoon. CBC Sports Weekend, Saturday.
Welcome back to the Pacific Coliseum as we take you around the NHL this evening. We go first to the stadium in Chicago where the Hawks now lead the Blues in the third period on Chris Chelios' goal, his third of the Stanley Cup playoffs. 5-3 Blackhawks in command with about 8 minutes to play in the third period there. That series, of course, tied at 2-2. The Detroit Red Wings, like Vancouver, faced elimination this evening, and they've already forced a 6th game in that series. Steve Yzerman started it short-handed in the first period. His second goal of the playoffs from Fedorov. Then LaPointe set up Mike Sillinger in the third period in the late stages. He beats John Casey. The Red Wings outshot Minnesota 24-22 in this game. And Jimmy Carson adds an empty netter, his second of the playoffs from Burr. The Wings win 3-0. As I say, the Hawks are leading by a pair in the third period there. Larmer, Matteau, Keith Brown, and Chris Chelios all have 2 points in the game tonight at the stadium in Chicago. Edmonton and Los Angeles is underway. No score yet to report in that game. Rudy versus Ranford in goal in the first period at the Great Western Forum in Inglewood, California. Vancouver with a team record 19 shots in the opening period. Burry and Sandlak score. It's the Canucks 2 and the Winnipeg Jets no score. Ford of Canada celebrates 75 years of hockey history, and Ford trucks. Tonight, Bill Ranford, and a perfect example of backing a champion. Bill's story after this.
Let's talk tough. Tough trucks. Tough? They don't come any tougher. Watch this. Continually being proven and improved the year round. Year after year. They're tough. Built like the big ones and engineered to drive like a luxury car. It has all the built-in quality of a true champion. And that about sums it up.
Bill Ranford entered the 1990 postseason with little or no experience. 22 games later, he'd recorded 16 wins in one Stanley Cup season. For several playoff years, Grant Fuhr surveyed the crease for the Oilers, but in 1990, injuries precluded his participation. In stepped Ranford with his .912 save percentage. Few goalies have performed with such consistency and quality. Edmonton's 1990 version didn't possess the offensive firepower of predecessors and relied on discipline and Bill Ranford. Ford of Canada celebrates 75 years of hockey history and Ford trucks.
The classic definition of what it means to be Canadian is as follows. You must be clean, cold, and crisp, because this is what beer's all about.
Folks, everyone agrees. They're outrageous.
Yeah, I think so.
Crazy.
Leave my father out of this.
Unpredictable.
I didn't see anything.
Unforgettable. And wonderfully wacky.
I've got a good idea. Stop the car!
From the creators of Weekend at Bernie's.
Didn't I tell you?
Tom Selleck, Don Amici, Folks. Starts Friday at theaters every...
Priority Courier, I have a pickup.
Call Priority Courier for overnight delivery, and you're dealing with Canada's largest courier network. You've got the whole country covered. Evenings and weekends, too. Priority Courier gets it there overnight. Guaranteed. Because your priorities are ours.
Good news, BC. Get a 92 Topaz or Tempo for just $249 a month. Yes, for a limited time, Mercury Topaz or Ford Tempo can be yours with air and automatic for just $249 a month and no down payment. Choose Topaz or Tempo with over 50 standard features in our bumper-to-bumper warranty, all for $249 a month. Now that's good news.
We're BC Ford and Mercury dealers, and we're winning the West.
Topaz and Tempo just $249 a month. See your BC Ford Mercury dealer for details.
Provide their children with better health care, nutrition, clean water, and education.
Happy Mother's Day, Mommy.
Remember, your gift from UNICEF will help make every mother's wish come true. And that's a future for her child.
Welcome back to the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver. Canucks taking a 2-0 lead into this second period, outshooting the Jets 19-7 in the first, and Greg Adams had 6 of the shots on goal for the Canucks. Nedved against Broughton on the face-off. And we're back underway, and we'll see how the Jets respond to that late goal by the Canucks that put them up by 2. Sandlak from Burry and Adams at 19:56. And pass in the zone, and play whistled down.
Brought to you by Ford, celebrating 75 years of championship trucks.
Tom Fergus is able to play any forward position, and that's why he's a valuable asset. Out there with Peter Nedved, now heading to the bench as the Canucks get the line they want out. You saw Phil Housley jump up on that last whistle. I think we'll see more of that from the Winnipeg Jets in this period, trying to put some pressure on the Vancouver Canucks and keep them in their own zone a little bit, as the first period was played almost entirely in that 60 feet in front of Rick Tabaracci.
Ulanoff clears it in. Babbage has it for Vancouver. And Housley out on that face-off, and as soon as the puck was dropped, Housley cleared it across, went to the bench. Here's Babbage moving in, Babbage scores!
his legs.
The old Jet defenseman has his first of these Stanley Cup playoffs. Dave Babbage at the 35-second mark. Who hadn't had more than a one-goal lead in the series prior to the game, leads by 3. And we've got a penalty coming up against the Jets, so the Canucks really have the momentum.
Game within a game. The forwards driving to the net. Now, that's not very many, but you don't have to drive to the net when you have complete control in the offensive zone like the Canucks did. Hits by the forwards, they had 5. They forced the play very well, but they had puck control. And the Jets, there's a big stat. That is very low for the Winnipeg Jets. Now watch the penalty right here. Mike Lawler with the cross-check on Jeff Courtnall. And Lawler goes off. The Canucks 1 for 3 on the power play. Sandlak's goal was with the man advantage. And now they get another chance to keep it going.
Feeling much better than when they first got to the rink tonight, and I'm sure this Canuck power play feels cross ice. Bure fan on the shot. Sandlak in the corner. There's Adams. Tripped up by Newman. Now comes loose to Sykes, and he'll take his time and skate out of the zone. Bure gets another assist for the Canucks. Larionov as well, and here's Lume back in. Lume turns back to Bure. Larionov centers it. Bure, here's a chance. High shot. And that's over the glass and out of play.
And that one dinged Rick Tabaracci as Bure got it up and over the sliding Jet defenders. Now, if you're John Paddock, you're thinking about putting Bob Essensa into this one. Now, watch this shot by Bure. And here comes the Jets. They're trying to block the shot. Tabaracci gets it off the right side of his mask, and it goes up and over the glass. And look at the traffic. Out comes Phil Sykes, so Tabaracci can't pick it up. Bure has to get it up. And he gets it up and off Tabaracci.
Now, when you say that about Tabaracci, that's not a reflection on how he's playing.
Oh, not at all, but you want him to be confident going into the next game. He's your guy. It gives Bob Essensa some more playoff time in case you have to use him in the next series. And you don't want to kill Tabaracci in this one. In the way it's going, it doesn't look like it's going to get any better.
He's already faced more shots tonight than he did in all of Game 1 here at the Pacific Coliseum. The Canucks stay on the power play. Over 2 periods now, Vancouver has 3 goals in 2 minutes and 31 seconds. The last goal, Lume from Bure and Larionov with a 2-man advantage. So a pair of power play goals for Vancouver and a 4-goal lead. Tabaracci out of the goal. Linden goes after it. Courtnall in the corner. There's Ronning. Back to Plavsic. With Ronning now. Shot blocked in front by Ulanov. Housley turns. 20 seconds to go in the power play, and Housley up to center. Jeff Courtnall starts back in with Linden to Ronning. There's the shot to slide. Babbage banned on it. Plavsic keeps it in. Babbage chopped at by Murray. Babbage cross ice. Ronning winds up. Tabaracci the save. And the Jets back at full strength as Murray comes out of the zone. Lead pass for Carlisle, broken up by Babbage. Courtnall back in. Ronning calling for it on the far side. It comes to Plavsic. Shot just deflected wide. Linden one-hands it in front. And now Davidoff turns for the Jets. It's all Canucks. And it might be double figures if it hadn't been for Rick Tabaracci.
And changing goaltenders, at least you get a little break while Bob Essensa was putting his stuff on, and it will give your team a chance to regroup.
Nedved back in. Rink wide pass cut off by Davidoff. Sandlak takes him down. Ulanov takes a run at Sandlak. Penalty coming up. We'll be right back after this message.
Take a step in the right direction. You can't beat the quality, the selection, and the pricing on the home furnishings displayed at City Furniture and Appliances. If you're in the market for better quality home furnishings or appliances with lifetime warranty, take a shopping trip to City Furniture for a friendly atmosphere, after-sales service, and for home delivery. Yes, there's always an endless parade of values waiting just for you at City Furniture and Appliances.
Back in Vancouver and in Chicago as well. The Hawks' Jocelyn Lemieux made it 6-3 for Chicago in the third period. And here's Jeff Brown with his second goal of the playoffs. Eddie Belfour didn't see it either. And it's 2-2 in the series, but the Hawks are about to go ahead by 1 in that affair.
Bob Essens is standing on the benches. There's not much room for the extra goaltenders here. And with the power play, Rick Tabaracci stays in.
Jim Sandlak with that penalty. And so the Jets 0 for 1 with the man advantage. Sandlak for hooking at 4:55. Kachuk in the zone. Drops it off for Olesen. There's the shot blasted wide. Housley after it against Walter. Deflects high in the air. Cron bats it down, and Walter sprawls to get it out. Steen on the near side. Gets it to Olesen. Elnick drives for the net. Puts it in front. Dirk there. Clears it to the line and out. It went by Steen. Back it comes to Steen on this right wing. Watched by Cron. Steen to Olesen. Cross to Housley. Olesen make the shot. Steen with room. Shot right on. McLean handles it and comes out to try and clear. Kept in by Olesen. Steen bumped by Dirk. Walter to the line, but not out. Housley with some room. Shot right on. Rebound in front. Jets have it. 45 seconds to go in the man advantage. Olesen fires through traffic wide. And Housley can't keep it in. Here's Housley hitting the line. Drops it in for Davidoff. Watched by Lume, and the drop pass broken up by Cron. Housley at the point. Shot blocked by Dirk. Darren Shannon leaves it in the corner. Gets the return pass. Now gives to Olczyk. 13 seconds to go in the man advantage. Olczyk shot high and wide. Teppo Numminen. Davidoff. Numminen, last shot on the power play, and it deflects just wide of the goal. Canucks back at full strength. Here's a chance for Bure, and it's called on the offside. Apparently it did just come outside the line. And the fans react here at the Pacific Coliseum. Our Stanley Cup coverage continues in a moment.
Maintain your cool.
Killing, doing a good job, being very aggressive as they're up. They know they're in control of this game. Dirk on Thomas Steen. And in front of the net, he does the same thing. Good aggressive play, keeping the Jet forwards from getting anywhere near Kirk McLean. There, Steen gave him a little shot back into McLean.
Vancouver with their biggest offensive splurge of this series. 4 goals, and we're not halfway through this one. Bure, Sandlak, Babbage, and Lume. And here's Peter Nedved on the move. Nedved, shot scores!
Jets have to take some chances as Randy Carlisle's pitching, and that creates this opening for Nedved.
Tabarachi as he skated off into the Jet bench. What a backup they've got. Bob Essenza, one of the top goaltenders in the NHL. Number 2 in save percentage this year. 5th best goals average. Tied for the league lead in shutouts. Many thought he'd start this series, and even though they're down 5-0, some valuable time for Bob Essenza now in goal.
And to Rick Tabarachi, I hope his teammates not only were congratulating on him on an outstanding performance tonight, but I hope they were apologizing to him because they really did not show up for this game here tonight. 26
shots on goal in 26.5 minutes against Rick Tabarachi. 5-0, Nedved's first Stanley Cup playoff goal ever from Dave Babbage. 3 goals in this second period already. And the Canucks have a comfortable lead.
It's your local BC Chrysler dealer Magic Wagon event. Drive home a bargain on any Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager, including specially ordered and specially built models. Built for British Columbians in Canada, they're equipped with a driver's side airbag, air conditioning, 7-passenger seating, V6, automatic, tilt, cruise, and more. At $18,888, you've got to hurry if you want to drive home this bargain. They're the world's best-selling minivans.
After the 4-0 goal because the Jets came out on a power play. But after the 5-0 goal, the change was made. Essenza played the last 2 games of the regular season, played well, but then Tabarachi got onto his playoff run. Essenza couldn't get back in.
It's a funny game, John. We're at the morning skates. Jets looked so confident. Canucks only had 14, 15 players out there. Didn't seem to have much zip. But right now, they're dominating, threatening to take this series back to Winnipeg.
Got it right!
Speaking of series that have really heated up, Game 5 of the Adams Division Semi between the Whalers and Canadians from the Forum in Montreal tomorrow night. And it looks like we'll be in Winnipeg for Game 6 on Tuesday, barring an enormous comeback by the Jets tonight.
And you look at CBC's Phil Reimer sitting in the crowd. CBC Vancouver's popular weatherman enjoying this game.
I tell you, the Canucks are so good he doesn't have to apologize for the rain tonight. Nobody too worried about the weather right now. Larionov and Ulanov going down the Winnipeg zone. And Housley will carry it out. Housley hits the line, gives it to Davidov. Shot hit the goal post. Davidov, the most dangerous Jet in this game so far. Takes a run at Lumen. Up ahead it goes to Bure. Goal and an assist. Larionov has 3 assists for the Canucks so far. Momesso back on the ice after serving that misconduct. Here's Linzer, scores! Series. This is live, and yes, this just happened.
And we've seen lots of this tonight. The Canucks all over the Jets. Doug Linster snaps it by Bob Essenza. Essenza's first shot on net in this playoffs. And here's the shot off the post by Evgeny Davidov at the other end. As Kurt McLean was beaten, Davidov has been the Jets' best forward if they had such a thing tonight. Hey, look at John Paddock. He wanted his team to play well. They played well all series to maintain their confidence, but it's been a sound thrashing here by the Vancouver Canucks.
Canucks scored a goal with 3 seconds left in the first period to go ahead 2-0. They had 4 for the Jets. Hits the line offside the call as McLean got a piece of it and it went off the post. Talked to Troy Murray this morning about his meeting he called before Game 4. He thought his team was a little too loose in their preparation for Game 4 and really cracked the whip.
You talked about how confident they seemed this morning, and you wonder whether that confidence was just, like you say, being too loose. And they really have to watch it now, going back to Game 6. With every goal, they're giving the Canucks more and more confidence. And look at the shot by Lidster. He's not a goal scorer. And watch John Paddock, a defensive team that he is proud of defensively. 6 goals already halfway through this game.
Peter Nedved on the move again. The back pass. Fergus clears it in. Sandlak goes after it. Double team. Nedved took a hit from Sean Cronin, who gets his first shift for Winnipeg. Shannon at center ice. Broken up, and Nedved turns. We've got a penalty coming up. Nedved breaks in, and the shot deflects high. And this one could get rough. Sean Cronin going after somebody. Newman and pushed Nedved.
Sean Cronin was going after Jim Sandlak. And it's Cronin who's getting a high sticking penalty on Sandlak. Sandlak went down, and Cronin gets a penalty. And now we got Peter Nedved, of all people, shoving some of the Jets. And now some of the bigger Canucks get involved. Sandlak, Fergus.
Elnick and Shannon are there for the Jets. And this isn't entirely unexpected when there's a 6-goal spread on the scoreboard. The officials have broken it up, but we've got more penalties to come.
In Los Angeles, Esa Tikkanen of the Edmonton Oilers has opened the scoring for Edmonton. Nichols and Richardson draw assists on Tikkanen's first goal of the playoffs. It's Oilers 1, the Kings nothing in the second period.
Now watch Sean Cronin as Sandlak hits Shannon. Cronin right here with the stick. Now, he didn't get Sandlak as much as Sandlak would have liked everybody to think. But Sandlak made sure that Cronin got the penalty.
Canucks with 2 power play goals in the game, 2 for 5 tonight. And that's a stat that Pat Quinn will relish. There's a lot for him to enjoy so far. Cliff Ronning back to Babbage. He has a goal. Ronning would love to finally get on the scoreboard. Puts it in front. There's Adams. He, too, trying to break the goose egg. And Olsen clears it for the Jets.
The Jets would like nothing better than to settle this game down and just play a nice game. Calm, cool, try and get back in it if they can. But just make sure that the Canucks don't keep this momentum going till the end.
Carlisle around the boards, kept in by Babbage. Adams knocked his man down. Babbage in the corner for Ronning. Linden's in front, so is Adams. Linden against Carlisle, and the big Canuck captain stays with him. Now it's broken up and chopped away. Down the ice goes Aaron Broughton. Deblois cruising on the right side. Deblois, and a toe save by McLean. Ronning starts back. Hits the line. Courtney loose on left wing. Puts it in front, cleared away. Kept in at the point by Lumac. There's Linden. 35 seconds to go in the power play. Out in front. Courtney will look for the loose puck. And Essenza holds on.
Cliff Ronning trying to dig that puck out, and he knew the whistle had already gone. They're trying to agitate the Jets into more penalties. Now watch Randy Carlisle, one of the leaders of this Winnipeg Jet team, and his defense is zone coverage. He hasn't given up yet. Look at the effort here. A whack to Ronning, a hit on Linden, another little hook on Linden, and the Jets clear the zone. Now look at the Canucks in the slot area. There haven't been much of that this playoff season. Portnoy there, Ronning there, and the save by Bob Essenza.
31 seconds to go in this power play for Vancouver. Larionov, a 4-point night. It's centered out in front. There's Mike Waller for the Jets. And he Gets it out to center ice.
Bob Essence feeling more comfortable picking that pass off. You can tell the first shot went in on him. He wasn't too sharp on that, but he's calmed down now and looks a lot better.
Larionov, the back pass to Lume. 6 different scores for Vancouver. Lawler round the board. Bure kept it in. Jets back at full strength, but Canucks still have pressure. Cronin takes the puck away from Bure. Back comes Mike Eagles with Lawler and Sykes. Here's pass cross ice, and Larionov was back to make the defensive play. Eagles by himself behind the goal. Knocked down, and that was Pavel Bure. And we've got a penalty coming up. Here's Ulanov. His shot deflects high and wide. Larionov touches it. And Pavel Bure will be charged with a charging minor.
Introducing the new Magnum Series engines from Dodge, delivering up to 44% more horsepower and a promise. Take one Dodge Dakota, drop in a Magnum V6 or V8, and you'll outpull any Ford Ranger or Chevy S10 around. Chrysler, all you have to do is drive one. Now get 5.9% financing or choose $1,000 cash back.
Pavel Bure using his speed, not in an offensive role. Now watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the hit on Mike Eagles, and it's called charging by Andy Van Hellemond. He had the elbows up and the stick up, and with a 6-0 lead, you can afford to take a penalty. The Vancouver Canucks, not only has their power play been clicking, but their penalty killing is playing a lot better today.
The most lopsided win by the Canucks in Stanley Cup playoff action was in 1984 in the semifinal against Calgary. Here's Olofsson on the power play. Back to Housley. Olofsson gets it into Steen. Cross ice. Pat Elnick's shot deflects wide. Dave Babbitt had trouble with it. Now goes after it again and clears it out. That win by the Canucks against Calgary was 7-0. And yet it was their only victory in a 4-game best-of-5 series. Here's a chance for Steen. Tried to put it in front. Doug Lidster broke it up. 6:45 to go, second period. Ryan Walter hammers it in wide of the goal. That didn't miss by much. Olofsson starts back. Steen, first man to the puck. Back to Olofsson. Housley. Walter charges him, putting more pressure on those Jet point men tonight. Housley checked by Walter. 57 seconds to go, and here's Trevor Linden on the move. Past Olofsson. Shot hit the side of the net. Good burst of speed by Linden. Now Housley starts it back. Davidoff takes his time. Tkachuk fan now puts it in front. Housley right to McLean, and he'll hold on with 35 seconds left in the Bure minor.
And here comes Keith Tkachuk as Housley was hit. Here's Arthur Griffiths looking on as his team has played a lot better. Housley was hit by Linden, and then Tkachuk flattened Trevor Linden. In came Robert Dirk. And I'm sure we're going to have penalties on both teams after this little incident. Andy Van Hellemond realizes with the score of this lopside. Now watch Linden on Housley, and watch Keith Tkachuk come in right here as Jerry Pateman doesn't see him. And look at Linden go down, and in comes Robert Dirk. And Tkachuk and Dirk go toe-to-toe.
And I'll tell you what, they're trying to continue the conversation in the penalty box.
And Keith Tkachuk has really been a presence for the Winnipeg Jets in this first-round series. Now Darren Shannon is trying to calm him down, and Tkachuk is going to get at least a 10-minute misconduct.
And the rookie has been sent to the dressing room. Oh, that Irish temper showing there.
That's true, and if you want to be involved, you're one of the few physical presence on the Winnipeg Jets. You want to make sure you're still around and you don't get too carried away. Youthful exuberance, sure, you like to have it. You want to have some control, too.
10-minute misconduct.
And now the Jets are complaining about where the faceoff is going to be. The Jets were getting the first penalty, and now they're talking it over. The faceoff comes outside. Kachuk was getting the first penalty, and then Robert Dirk had the second one. The Jets continue on the power play for another 35 seconds. You were right, Chris. They're really taking away the point men. Housley and Olesen playing high, and the Jets are having problems controlling the puck down low.
Dirk roughing, Kachuk high sticking, and the 10-minute misconduct at 14:07.
Look at John Paddock. He doesn't show a whole lot of emotion on the bench. I'm sure he'd like it to be a little closer and his team with some sort of chance of coming back in the third period. But he definitely wants them to play with a little more spirit, something they haven't shown in the first 35 minutes of this game.
Certainly the longest night of his coaching career in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But we haven't got to the third period yet. Still 23 seconds left on a power play for Winnipeg. And Olczyk now playing at center with Shannon and Davidoff. First look at Eddie O at center ice in this series. He says he prefers to play the wing, but when you're down by 6, you try something different. Housley with the shot, deflected right at McLean. The Canucks talk about not getting bounces, but things are all going right for him tonight, or for the Canucks. That went right off the stick of Larionov, right into the glove of Kirk McLean.
And you saw Larionov come back and congratulate his goaltender. He knew he shouldn't have touched that one. Here's the shot. Look at Larionov. Gets a stick on it, and Kirk McLean, the quick reaction, self-defense, gets the glove up and makes the snag. Now look at in the slot. The Jets can't get in front of Kirk McLean. Perfect sight lines on that long shot that was deflected, and then they get there. They've been doing a good job on the power play, especially Keith Kachuk getting in front of McLean. Naturally, you can't do that from the dressing room.
29-12, the shots on goal. Favoring the Vancouver Canucks. 5 seconds to go on the Bure minor. Vancouver controls the face-off. Out it came. It's over the glass and out of play as Bure returns. And Vancouver is back at full strength.
Announcing Fido-Rama, your chance to win one of 3 limited edition escorts. Just look under the cap of specially marked 7-Up and Diet 7-Up to collect the names of 7 Canadian cities, and you could win a Fido escort.
7-Up. It's cool. 7-Up.
In Los Angeles, the Oilers leading 1-0. It's Tony Granato on the far part of your screen to Luc Robitaille, who banks it off the goal post, and Wayne Gretzky, who'd gone 12 games without a playoff goal, gets his first of the 92 spring. It's 1-1 in Inglewood.
5:05 left here, second period. Fergus, left side to Courtnall. Lost control of it. Eagles. Around the boards, that's Sean Cronin back on the ice. So is Sandlak for Vancouver. Olesen out to center ice, and Olesen saw Sandlak coming in on him. Courtnall takes a bump after shooting it in. Jets dressing 7 defensemen. We haven't seen much of Cronin in the series. There he is. Clears it ahead, and it's Eagles. Bumped by Courtnall, right side, Olesen. Meeting up with Plavsic at center ice. Troy Murray into Vancouver territory. In by Plavsic. Sandlak is bumped. Troy Murray trying to tie it up there. See if they can work it free against Sandlak, but they finally do. Olczyk tried to center it, and now Sandlak wraps it around the boards. Carlisle at the left point, kept it in momentarily, cleared out, and there's Ulanov. Under 4 minutes to go in the second period. Thomas Steen for the Jets, looking for just something to help turn the momentum of this game around. Davidoff steals, shoots, scores!
Now, you don't like the guy to dance too much when you score in a 6-0 game, but Davidoff has been their best forward tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. And the Canucks sitting back with that 6-0 lead. Now watch Davidoff. It hit somebody in front. Does it hit a Jet or it hit one of the Canuck defenders? Here's the shot. And right there, it hits somebody and goes in. Now you have to wonder if it hit Adrian Plavsic. Adrian Plavsic standing in front. He has his man. I don't know whether it hit Plavsic and went in. And there's Evgeny Davidoff giving it the pump in a 6-1 game.
They are giving the goal to Ed Olczyk. Apparently it did hit Olczyk, and then Davidoff gets the assist on the goal at 16:24. So Olczyk credited with his second goal of this series, and Kirk McLean's shutout bid is over.
Cliff Ronning talking to Ron in the second intermission. One of the struggling Canucks, one of the few Canucks who hasn't scored tonight. Now watch Ed Olczyk. He's in good position, and Adrian Plavsic comes over, takes a piece of him, and they give it to Eddie Olczyk, although Adrian Plavsic might have been the one that banged in. It hit somebody in front. No chance for Kirk McLean.
Omesso in the corner, gives it to Bure. Bure shot right on, and Essenza handles that. Bure with 4 points, a goal and 3 assists, and Larionov with 4 assists. Out of town, the Oilers and the Kings tied in that series and tied tonight in the second period. Detroit coming back tonight. North Stars couldn't finish them off either. And the Hawks have won to take a 3-2 lead back to St. Louis in the other Norris semi. Sergio Momesso behind the goal. Momesso hangs on to it. Housley all over him, and now Ulanov breaks it up. Aaron Broughton steps over the red line and clears it in. Helmet hit by Dirk. Lume watched by Darren Shannon. Shannon comes up with it. Here's Aaron Broughton, wrap around. He scores! Aaron Broughton and the Jets have 2 quick goals.
I'm sure John Paddock likes this because it was all Canucks. They were playing with confidence, playing very cocky. And now the Jets have silenced the crowd and silenced the Canucks. Now watch Aaron Broughton. He doesn't just slide it. He slides it far post. And that's the key. You can't just wrap it around. The goaltender's going to get that. You have to go wide. Kirk McLean made the right play. Now watch Kirk McLean gets his stick out. And Aaron Broughton pulls it all the way around. Jyrki Lume can't get back in time. It's off the post and in.
Aaron Broughton's second goal of these Stanley Cup playoffs. Brother Paul scored for the Rangers in their victory over the Devils last night. And so it's 6-2. Darren Shannon, Pat Elnick get assists on that goal by Broughton. Still 2:22 to go, second period. The Jets make it interesting with another goal here quickly. 57 seconds apart. Those 2 quick goals by the Jets, Olczyk and Broughton.
Look at Phil Sexton. The thing this does, this lopsided score for John Paddock, he gets to rest some players. He gets to try some different line combinations. He gets to play Sean Cronin. And you look at Pat Quinn, and his team is dominated, and he gets to try a few different things, but he doesn't want his team to get into any bad habits, and he wants them to go into Winnipeg feeling as good about themselves as they can. And all of a sudden, that 6-0 sounds a lot better than 6-2.
Bill Sykes back in his own zone. Hands it off to Cronin. Sean Cronin clears it in for Winnipeg. Savage, the other 44 on the ice, has it for the Canucks. There's Sykes forechecking. Murray near the side of the net. Shot from McLean. Love that, and they'll hang on. That was a pretty good setup to Troy Murray. The Jets had another scoring chance with 1:44 to go in the second.
It was getting pretty foggy in the Vancouver zone, but now the Jets have had some skaters down there to clear out the fog. Look at Troy Murray, no angle at all. Kirk McLean stands his ground, gets the glove open and facing the shooter. and makes the save. Kirk McLean hasn't let in a bad goal this series, and yet he trails 3 games to 1.
Well, the intensity still at a high in the face of Troy Murray. Newman swings away from Ronning, puts it through the goal crease. There's Davidoff. Wrist shot. Hit Lidster, went to the corner. Steen to Davidoff, chopped at it. Now Greg Adams has it to Linden. Ahead to Ronning. Ronning down the left side. In the middle to Adams. Linden with him, and Adams couldn't control it. Bumped into the boards. Trevor Linden, sharp angle, that went wide. Ed Olczyk on the near side. Skates out to center. Lead pass for Steen. Called on the offside. 1:06 to go, second period.
That good chance in front of Kirk McLean. Again, it was Eddie Olczyk in good position, creating some havoc in front of the Vancouver goaltender. Look at Rick Tabaracci cooling off. Bill Sykes talking things over on the bench with Lucien Deblois, and Tabaracci has to worry, I'm sure, about cramping up. It's like the football players, the running backs. So much adrenaline and so much perspiration, and then all of a sudden you're standing there doing nothing.
Canucks' first goal came at the 17:30 mark of the first period after Rick Tabaracci may have displayed the best goaltending of the series. Hard to believe after that this would turn into a 6-2 game still in the second period.
And by the time Peter Nedved scored, they had Tabaracci not only physically worn down, but mentally worn down.
Under a minute to go, second period. Aaron Broughton back in with Elnick. Shannon giving chase behind the net. It's near the side of the net. Cleared by Plavsic. Up to Robert Cron. Cron against Housley, trying to get around the Jet defenseman. Shot on the short side. Sandlak almost stole it against Ulanov, and those two big players go down in a heap. Housley takes a look. Missed Elnick with the pass, but now Elnick picks it up inside the line against Plavsic. Elnick trying to spin away, centers it in front. Housley's joined the play, and McLean hangs on with 15.9 seconds to go in the second. And Randy Gregg glares at Darren Shannon. This is an opportunity for the veteran Gregg to get some ice time as well.
And get some confidence. You can work as hard as you want in practice, but it's not game-type situations. Randy Gregg is one of the hardest working players. He hasn't played a lot this year, and he's gotten used to that role, but it's nice to get some game time in. Dr. Ross Davidson came along on the trip with the Vancouver Canucks to Winnipeg, and he and Randy would come into the medical room after the games, check out the players.
What a night for Igor Larionov. 4 assists so far. And all his points in this series, 6 have come here at the Pacific Coliseum.
And Pavel Bure has played his best games here at the Pacific Coliseum. Game 1, and now
Larionov on this face-off. Jets would love to get something else before they head to the dressing room. Here's a chance for Sykes, and a shot high into the crowd with 6 seconds to go.
Canucks were complaining about a hand pass. The Winnipeg Jets controlled play and got the shot from the point. Pavel Bure with the big night, as you mentioned, Chris, and he's come under a lot of fire, but he's not used, as Pat Quinn said, he's not used to that constant checking game in and game out. You play the same guys. You get used to those Olympic tournaments and world championships where you play each team at the most twice. Makes it a little easier.
A little jockeying on this face-off. Murray backs off. Deblois, Dirk have been jostling, Sykes and Momesso. Canucks don't want to let the Jets get to the net. Face-off controlled by Larionov. Lume flips to center. Bure at the horn. And that will do it. What a big period for the Vancouver Canucks. They score 4 goals. Coming up, Cliff Ronning will join Ron McLean in our second intermission. And the score at the end of 2 periods at the Pacific Coliseum, Canucks 6, Jets 2.
When you shop for a car in BC in winter, or, spring, summer, or fall, you've got a friend in your BC Hyundai dealer. Catch your local Hyundai dealer with his payments down. Drive a 92 XL for less than $156 per month. You've got a friend in your local Hyundai dealer.
In the future, some aspects of business class travel may be slightly different.
Ready to bridge.
But today, Air Canada is the only airline to offer you all the comfort and service of executive class on every flight. Just one more reason why more Canadians fly Air Canada.
Out of respect and admiration for the civil engineers of the world who carved these exhilarating paths from the face of the earth, the engineers at Honda present an object to truly enjoy the fruits of their labor.
You asshole! We're back at the Pacific Coliseum. Amidst all the mayhem here, the Vancouver Canucks are on a roll. 6-2. They lead the Winnipeg Jets. I don't know what to say to you, Cliff, other than things get a little confusing in this studio from time to time. You must feel great about what's happening here tonight.
Oh, definitely. You know, our team's playing a lot better. We're jumping on the puck and getting shots in the net with guys going to the net, and we weren't getting that in the other games.
Tell me about your flight home the other night. What was going through your head, down 3-1?
It's not a good feeling, you know. I think the bottom line was our coach, what he wanted us to do was go out there and give everything we had and see what happened. So far, it's been great tonight.
Have you done anything, changed your T-shirt, done anything to try and bring yourself a bit of luck?
Yeah, I changed my undershirt, but it didn't bring me too much tonight. But we're getting the chance in the bottom line. The team's winning, and when you're on a winning hockey club, it's that much easier.
Right. I actually think you had some great chances in the first period, nice passes, just no luck so far. You'd had the 9-point year, and a lot of people have talked about that, 6 against L.A. When does that start to get on your nerves?
Well, it's a little bit on my nerves, but I think the bottom line is that, you know, the coaches have told me that I'm playing very well, and I'm moving the puck around, and it's just a matter of time. And I think, if anything, it's going to make me a better hockey player when I get through this. And you don't want to drag the rest of the team down, because the bottom line is for the team to win. And if it's for me to go out there and guys to jump on my back and take penalties against me, well, that's what I'll have to do.
Perfect. That's a great comment. What about the game as you see it? Who's stood out on your team tonight?
Well, obviously, Pavel Bury's skating well, and Igor's made some great plays out there, but I think the bottom line is everyone's just playing with a lot of motion. We're shooting and going to the net instead of shooting and letting them clear us in front of the net. And I think, you know, with Rick Tabaracci in the other games, we were shooting and he was making the first save and they're clearing the front of the net. And we got some big guys that are getting in there and making something happen now.
Well, you grew up here, and I know you've said from time to time you grew up hoping to be a Vancouver Canuck, and everyone out there that cheers for your team's cheering for you to have a good third period in the rest of the series.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Cliff Ronning of the Vancouver Canucks. His club ahead with a handsome lead of 6-2 at the end of 2 periods of play here. Coming up next, we'll check in at the Forum in Inglewood, California, where the Oilers and the Kings are tied at 1, and look at scores around the NHL tonight. Live, this is Molson Hockey Night in Canada and the Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC.
When you buy a Toyota from your Toyota BC dealers, not only do you buy one of the best-built, most reliable cars in the world, you buy me, your Toyota BC service technician. Toyota.
If you live in BC, now's the time to get a new lease on life.
New lease on life?
Where? Come on, BC, you know where. At your Toyota BC dealer.
7,000 copies of the NRS catalog of homes are sent out every 2 weeks to buyers worldwide. 20,000 homes are displayed in every edition. That's why the NRS sign means sales. NRS backs its agents with a personalized business plan, an international listing service, and 37 years of success in marketing homes. NRS, you want it working for you. Start at the top.
If your sporty car doesn't feel so sporty anymore, you need a change. By the team, the BF Goodrich Tire Team. They'll put on BF Goodrich TA Performance tires. Tires designed just for your sporty car. It's a whole new level of performance. Feel the difference. See a BF Goodrich Tire Team if they don't see you first.
Now, when life turns up the heat.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. I'm Jeff Green.
Can't wait to meet you.
There's Degree Antiperspirant. Degree is body heat activated to release extra protection.
1 more minute.
Okay. Every time your body heat rises, Degree turns on that extra protection. So when you really need it, Degree keeps you dry and fresher.
Jeff? Hi.
Degree, your body heat turns it on.
Igor Larionov with 4 assists. The Canucks lead the Jets 6-2 here in lovely Vancouver. Now let's head south to Los Angeles and pick up the action at the Forum.
This time, we welcome those viewers who have been watching the action from the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver, with the Canucks leading the Jets 6-2. Here at the Great Western Forum in Los Angeles, it's 1-1. Edmonton and the Kings. I'm Don Whitman along with Jim Poplinski and Steve Armitage. Penalty coming up. The Los Angeles Kings will have another power play as the King player was dumped in the corner, and Bill McCreary spotted it, and he sends Dave Manson to the penalty box.
Well, this one wasn't too tough to miss. McCreary put up his hand immediately as Manson laid the lumber on his opponent. You can see Manson with a little bit of blood on his lip right there. He whacks Corey Millen, and I'm sure that Millen caught Ranford and gave him the bleeding lip. Manford couldn't bite his lip, retaliated, and Bill McCreary caught the penalty. LA will go on the power play. I joked on about the Los Angeles Kings not needing to have the ice resurfaced in a game in Edmonton because they weren't in the Oilers' zone that much. Well, I'll tell you what, in this particular second period, Edmonton hasn't spent a lot of time out of their zone and in the Los Angeles zone.
In the 2 games that the Kings have lost in this series, they have failed to score a power play goal. Tonight, they have failed to score in 3 power play chances. As a matter of fact, they have yet to register a shot on their 3 power play attempts.
So that's the story in Los Angeles. Gretzky has scored for the Kings, and his shadow for the Edmonton Oilers. Actually, Buckberger continues to be on 99 most of the night tonight. 1-1 in the second period there. The Detroit Red Wings staved off elimination at Joe Louis Arena this evening. Yzerman's was the game winner shorthanded. The Wings led the NHL in that category during the year, and it led them to victory tonight as they go back to Game 6 at the Met Center in Bloomington. And the Hawks won on home ice tonight, 6-4, so they're up 3-2, bound for the arena in St. Louis. Here at the end of 2 periods, it's looking like Game 6 in Winnipeg. Vancouver's up 6-2, Molson Hockey Night in Canada, and the Stanley Cup playoffs continue in a moment.
Molson Special Dry, the evolution of beer.
Play just underway here at the Pacific Coliseum in the 3rd period, and the Canucks going to the attack with Ronning, Linden, and here's Linden working in backhand, and Ulanov stopped him up. Linden stays with it, powers to the net, shot right on, rebound! Craig Adams foiled again, his 7th shot on goal, and now it's
Trevor Linden on the outside. The Canucks trying to start this third period, get that momentum back again that they lost at the end of the second. Here's the shot. Now watch Adam. Strong in front of the net. Cliff Ronick talked about it. We talked about it earlier. And forwards driving to the net. You see only 5 times, but the Canucks have been controlling it so much in the Winnipeg zone that the forwards have already been there. And we've seen that tonight many times. Greg Adams with those rebounds. The Jets just are having problems. You see the hits on the floor by the Canuck forwards. They haven't had to hit anybody because they've had the puck almost all night. Only 8 hits. And clearing the defensive zone, a big stat for the Jets. They played the whole night in their own zone, and they're a very good defensive team. Usually they control the boards. They haven't done that tonight.
They've just announced a change on the 4th Vancouver goal, the 2nd power play goal. Lume gets the goal, but now it's Linden and Bure on the assist. So take an assist away from Larionov, who's down to a 3-point night, and Linden gets the assist instead. Troy Murray flips it in. Jets will try to at least win the period. Eagles with Lawler in front, didn't get a good shot away. Eagles, McLean down, made the stop. Lapsick around the boards. Sandlak reaches for it, gets it out to center ice. Lawler bumped by Nedved. Sandlak against Newman, and here's Troy Murray working back in. Puts a move on Plavsic in, didn't get a shot. After a nice move on Adrian Plavsic, and McLean puts it behind the goal. Plavsic around the boards. Nedved pushes his man. Devereaux to Murray out in front. McLean goes down, can't control the rebound. Murray again. Jets have come out firing here in the 3rd period, trying to make it close. Teppo Newman had moved in, but didn't take the pass, and out it comes for Ferguson Nedved. Sandlak catching up. Here's Sandlak in front. Scores!
An important goal for the Vancouver Canucks to get that momentum back again and show the Jets they mean business. Nice play by Nedved, but where are the Jets? Look at Sandlak, he's got all sorts of room and all sorts of time. Now where are all the Jets? There's nobody around Jim Sandlak. Look at Newman and Lawler. Well over on the same side of the ice, and there's Jim Sandlak right in the middle, sliding it under Bob Esses.
Jim Sandlak, 2nd of the game. 3rd of this series. Nedved, Fergus get the assist. Todd Fergus now has points in 5 straight playoff games. 5-goal lead, Vancouver. Momesso clears it in. Housley for the Jets. Off the boards to center. There's Bure. Larionov. Lume inside the line. Drops for Momesso. Ulanov up ahead to Housley. He'll lead the rush to center. Left side Broughton, one of the goal scorers for Winnipeg. Middle for Housley. Backhand hit the side of the net. Now out in front it goes Ulanov. Couldn't get the shot away against Bure. Number 10 gets it ahead. Penalty coming up as Bure was decked. Momesso down the ice. Just shot wide. Larionov. Lume in front, checked by Housley. Here comes the call after Bure took a hit deep in the Vancouver zone. Tonight's game coming to you from the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver.
Okay, this is about hot places, fun faces, and bodies. Ouch. Plus, small dogs, hot dogs, rolling around, riding around, and grocery shopping. That's right, if you're a Safeway shopper. Because now Safeway's got the Air Miles program, your ticket to free flights. So if you want to get away, just shop at Safeway.
Late stages of the 2nd period at the Forum in Los Angeles. Wayne Gretzky and the Kings on a power play, and Gretzky's shot will go all the way. Miller standing on the doorstep. Blake draws an assist, and it's now LA 2, Edmonton 1, with less than a minute to play in the 2nd period there.
Sitting in the penalty box, Darren Shannon
Shannon gets the tripping call on Bure. And so the Canucks go to the power play. 7 goals in this game. That matches their playoff high. I mentioned that 7-0 win in '84 against the Calgary Flames.
That wasn't a bad penalty as Darren Shannon tried to hit Pavel Bure, and the Jets now, they're behind by so much they can set the tone for Game 6 in Winnipeg.
Ronning, Adams, Linden, Babbitt, and Plastic. And despite the 7 goals, the 3 forwards out there could use a goal. Ronning talking about that with Ron McLean in the second intermission. Linden's right in front of the net, jostling with Olesen. Adams standing in front as well. There's Linden. Ronning shoots. Adams deflection. And another stop by Essenza off of a Greg Adams scoring attempt.
And good puck control by the Vancouver Canucks. They set up the play they wanted. The tip-in try by Greg Adams. And Adams and Linden set up shop. Essenza is trying to distract Adams. The Jets go after Linden. That leaves Adams all by himself. Good little tip-in try and a nice save by Bob Essenza.
Canucks adding to their playoff record book tonight. Bure with 4 points ties a team record for most points in a playoff game. Trevor Linden, April 9th, 1989, in that great 7-game set against the Flames. Bob Essenza wants to avoid any additional records being added by the Canucks here tonight.
The way the Jets are playing, his work's going to be cut out for him. They slowed it down a little bit in the second period, but the Canucks came out here in the third, again taking over control.
1:06 to go in the man advantage. Lume to the lines, turned back by Numanen. Now he hands it off to Nedved. Mike Lawler for the Jets, and he clears it down the ice, but Peter Nedved has added a little offensive punch to this Canuck attack. There's a lead pass for Sandlak, looking for the hat trick, the shot right on Bob Essenza with 38 seconds left in the Canuck power play.
Sandlak has played very well tonight, and he's better shooting the puck like that with his little wrist shot than he is with a slap shot. He has absolutely no idea where his slap shot is going, but when he snaps it like that, he's in pretty good control. Another good save by Bob Essenza. The problem with Sandlak is he loves to take the big slap shot because it pounds off the glass. He has no idea where it's going. He used to terrify me in practice because he does have such a heavy shot. You'd give him 4 feet on the one side, he wouldn't put it in.
You know, it's funny, I noted the personal bias in your voice.
Snap it, Jimmy, snap it. Pick that corner. You got lots of room over there.
Well, this type of game not sitting well with Troy Murray. No doubt about that. Lume at the point. Lidster. Bure goes to the net. Lariana. Back to Lidster. And Lume. Murray watching him. Lume goes right after the puck after the pass. Glanced off the stick of Bure. Lidster. Into Lariana. Momesso in front. There's Bure, and it went behind him. Kept in by Lume. He has a goal tonight. So does Lidster on the other point. So after it, hauled down by Numanen. Chance to clear. They get it out to center for Aaron Broughton. Cut off by Lidster as the Jets return to full strength. Thomas Steen lost control. Lariana cross-ice pass for Bure. Bure gave it away. Jets come up with it. Housley just missed. Well, he apparently did get hit by Momesso. Penalty coming up against Momesso and the Canucks, and Sergio can't believe it. Sticking is the call. Jets have a power play.
89% of business travelers don't have a fat expense account. Luckily, you'll find our rates as comfortable as our rooms. Holiday Inn. Stay with someone you know who really knows you.
They're through 40 minutes at the Great Western Forum. Kings with a 2-1 lead against the Oilers. Wayne Gretzky has both goals tonight for Los Angeles, and at the conclusion of our game here at the Pacific Coliseum. We will take you to the Great Western Forum for the conclusion of that game.
You see Momesso on Housley. Housley saw Momesso coming, spun around, but still get the high stick in the back of the head. And Momesso gets the high sticking penalty.
Jets are 0 for 3 with the man advantage in this game. 6 for 27 in the series. Steen, Davidoff, and Olczyk up front. Housley wheels to center. Dumps it in. Olczyk giving chase. He's held up by Kron. Drake can't clear it out. Olsson across to Housley. Had to turn away there, and it's brought out by Kron. Plavsic joins the rush. Takes the pass. Back to Kron and off the skate of Olsson. Now it's a 2-on-1 the other way. Olczyk moves in, and Babbage came off the bench and cut off the chance for Winnipeg. Olsson shot. McLean saw it all the way. There's Davidoff. Lost control. Canucks come out of it. 1:05 to go in the power play as Walter dumps it in.
Jets had lots of people in front of Kurt McLean, but Freddie Olsson's shot was high, and none of them could get their stick on it.
Bill Housley leads the Jets in shots on goal in this game with 4. Dumped it in. Canucks get it out again. 45 seconds to go. In the power play is Brock. Tied up, Babbage clears. Now Bure and Larionov are out, but Newman is in for Winnipeg. Has to turn. Puts it behind the goal. Lidster bumped by Elnick, but Elnick went down and the Canucks get it out. Essenza around the boards. Ahead it goes Brock. Cross to Housley. Housley sets up Broughton in front. Here's Elnick on the backhand. That's blocked by Lume. Behind the net it goes for Broughton. There's Elnick, and it's broken up again by Lume. And he sends away Bure. Penalty has expired. Momesso back out. Bure working in against Housley. And Housley makes the defensive play. Put it out in front. There's Momesso. And his pass to Bure. In the corner. Momesso has him tied up. Bure looked to center it. It comes to Shannon. And to Housley. He's at the end of the shift, so he just dumps it down the ice and heads to the bench. 35-17. The shots on goal. 12 minutes, 10 seconds to go. Third period. 7-2 Vancouver. Greg Adams steals the puck, running in front. Essenza down, and he put it through the goal crease. That caromed off the shin pad of Sean Cronin and out.
You can tell Cliff Ronning, a hungry offensive hockey player.
Well, with a 5-goal lead, you can think offense. Here comes Plavsic. He's on the move again. Now just sends it in. Essenza leaves it for Cronin. Around the board, Sykes at his own blue line, out to center. Right wing pass well behind Deblois. Olsson for Sykes. Thomas Steen skates into the zone, but Adams turns back. Greg Adams winds up shot right on. Essenza will hang on for another faceoff in the Winnipeg zone. 11:20 to go.
Maybe the way it looks makes Tercel your pride and joy. Maybe its performance makes Tercel your pride and joy. Maybe how it passes fuel stops makes it your pride and joy. Maybe it's how others see you in it makes Tercel your pride and joy. But maybe, just maybe, pride has nothing to do with your joy. Toyota Tercel, the promise of something better.
Bob Cole, Harry Neal, Dick Irvin, Scott Russell set in Montreal for Game 5 of that Adams Division semi. Now tied at 2 apiece, and we think we're headed to Winnipeg. Make the reservations, guys. Canucks and Jets. Game 6, Tuesday night.
It has stopped snowing in Winnipeg, Chris. You'll be glad to know. Temperatures were supposed to be high of 10 today.
I wondered where you were going to make that phone call in the second intermission. I expect a blizzard in the Winnipeg arena, though. corner. Nedved couldn't reach the pass. Eddie Olczyk, a dangerous pass, but it gets to Ulanov. He hits the line with Davidoff. Working against Dave Babbage. Ulanov, an old forward in Russia, gets it ahead to Davidoff. Right on. Rebound. Olczyk couldn't bat it out of midair. Sandlak ahead. It goes to Fergus. Nedved catching up on the play. Pass through for Fergus, broken up by Ulanov. They say at 18 years of age, they moved Ulanov back to defense because he really didn't have a good shot. Here's Fergus setting up Lume, trailing his Kron. The shot goes high. Lume out at center ice. Lead pass to Fergus, and he sends it back in as the Canucks make a change.
Two good scoring chances for Robert Kron tonight, and both of them he fired well over top of the crossbar.
Robert Dirk flips it high in the air into Winnipeg zone. Lume at center. And it goes to Ryan Walter, the veteran. Hands it to Jeff Courtnall. Courtnall put on the brakes, shakes off the check to Cronin, but it's cleared by the Jets.
John Cronin getting much more ice time as Randy Carlyle has gone to the dressing room with a leg injury.
Here's a pass for Courtnall, moving in, scores! Jeff Courtnall has his first goal of the series, so the Canucks have a team record for most goals in a playoff game thanks to that great pass by Ryan Walter.
And Courtnall went right over to Walter to thank him for that pass. Courtnall waited. He's a goal scorer. Went through Bob Essensa. What a pass by Ryan Walter. That fourth line has, because of the score, gets a little more ice time, playing with some confidence like everybody else in the Canucks. And the piano is off Courtnall's back.
That sign has been making its way around the Pacific Coliseum, and they've gotten almost right around the rink here. 8-2, a 6-goal lead in Game 6, Tuesday night. Walter and Randy Gregg get assists, so the veterans on the Canuck team up with Courtnall. Troy Murray back for Winnipeg. Lapsett makes the check on him. Randy Gregg with his 51st point in Stanley Cup play. He has more points in the playoffs than any other player in this series lifetime. Larionov ahead to Bure. Gregg was on the move out of the zone. Bure didn't see him. Troy Murray intercepts. Now Eagles. Ahead to Olczyk. That field to Klick, and the Jets make a wholesale change with 8:50 to go. Bure trying to steam out of the zone, forgot the puck. Now here he goes. Wrapped up by Lawler. And the fans savoring this one.
Start the song early. I think this is one of the earliest starts of that song. 8 minutes left.
I think it's safe tonight. Davidoff in front. There's a shot by Tkachuk, and McLean made the stop. Ronning gives it up. Davidoff again fires wide. Tkachuk on the other side. Fans really making noise here, even though the Jets were coming close. But they're making up for it now. Shannon cuts out in front. McLean on the short side, and the rebound cleared nicely by Greg Adams. Good play by the big forward to help out his goaltender.
And the Canucks again with a big lead sitting back, and the Jets getting some chances, but again, Kirk McLean solid in net.
Lume bumps Elnick off the puck, and here he comes again. He's had a strong game. to the Canucks have. Hits the line. Hit by Olofsson. Linden behind the goal. There's Ronning. This line really wants to contribute offensively. Maybe a 6-goal lead, but they desperately want a goal. Linden was dragged down by Cronin, but no call. Here's Greg Adams, shot right on. Essens again. And Adams up to 10 shots on goal in this game. 39 for the Canucks. 16,123 fans on hand, a sellout crowd, and I think everybody's had a touch on that sign.
Mike Lawler on Pavel Bure. Look at where Lawler is, up at the Canucks blue line. Taking Bure to the ice, not letting the speedy forward have a chance to get rolling.
We'd like to welcome back viewers of the Kings and the Oilers to the Pacific Coliseum. There's the time remaining. A 6-goal difference here in Vancouver in Game 6, set for Tuesday night now. Jets clear it down the ice. McLean lets it go, and Plavsic touches it. Icing is the call.
Talked about 16,123 fans, a sellout here in Vancouver. We were talking to Arthur Griffiths, and the Canucks' new building will hold between 19 and 20,000. I don't think they can be much noisier than this crowd has been here in the third period. And there he is. There's nobody happier in the building than Arthur Griffiths, Vice Chairman and Governor of the Vancouver Canucks. Tense time during the strike for him and all the other people involved in that, but happy to be back playing hockey.
Olczyk at center. Gives it to Housley as they hit the line. Housley snaps the shot. McLean kicks it out. Canucks clear it. Jim Sandlak has a pair. Portnoy, Lidstert, Nedved, Lume, Babbage, and Bure, the goal scorers. 6:16 to go, third period.
Molson Special Dry. Is this your average beer?
Looks like it could rain all weekend. Come on, man, cheer up.
While you're up, why don't you get us some beer?
Is this your average rainy weekend at the cottage?
Across the lake. Mind if we come in and dry ourselves off?
Molson Special Dry. It just could be the best beer ever brewed, anytime, anywhere.
Looks like it could rain all weekend.
Well, this city's going to be a little happier tomorrow. The question of what's wrong with the Canucks has been asked about a million times in the last couple of days, but the Canucks coming up with their best effort of this series. And we're now thinking ahead to Game 6. Canucks and their fans hoping this won't be the last home game of the year. Davidov at center. Tried to take on Walter, and Walter had none of it. Cron around, Cronin in, and a big stop there by Essenza. Babbage on the backhand. Bouncing puck, Essenza handled that. 40 shots on goal so far for Vancouver. Kachuk. Can't get by Babbage, he's had a strong game. Kachuk at center ice, clears it back in.
Speedy Robert Cron, you watch him play, he's got such great wheels. He can skate like the wind, but then when he gets in on the goaltender, he just can't seem to finish. There, Bob Essenza made the save.
That shorthanded goal he scored in Game 3 was his first since November. Lariana works his way in, looking for Bure. Out in front, Momesso, and he backhanded it over the net. Sergio's looking for his first goal of this series. Shannon back for Winnipeg. Up against Lume with 4:44 to go. Lume checked by Shannon and Aaron Broughton. Momesso on the left wing. And it goes to Lume. Lume turned back, now feeds it ahead. Momesso on the move, 27 against Newman and 27. Newman took the bump but stayed with the puck. to Newman. Newman just clears it in as the Jets are making a change. McLean out of the goal. Olczyk stopped it up there, gets some help. Housley keeps it in. Cross ice, Ulanov winds up, shot right on. Olczyk looking for Eagles. That was broken up. Eagles clears it back in the corner. There's Mike Eagles. Ulanov. Bure watching him. Deblois hit by Larionov. Deblois lost his helmet and his stick, and Larionov has the puck. Platzer breaks on the right side. Adrian Platzer winds up right on. And now back come the Jets. 3:24 to go. Housley, cross ice, Davidoff, his shot not much on it. Behind the play, Larionov and Deblois continue to go at it as Murray shoots right on it. They were separated and both have gone to the bench, and both continue to exchange words.
Linesman Jerry Bateman skated all the way down the ice with them, in between them, and it was Deblois trying to get at Larionov, and Larionov with a stick in Deblois' face.
There's Davidoff. Up to Olsson. Big damage for the Canucks. Just missed a hit there, and a couple of Jets collide to Chuck and Murray. Olsson in his own zone. Ronning almost intercepted it. Here's Troy Murray. Drops it for Davidoff. There's the shot right on. McLean makes the stop. His 23rd of the game, and Murray took exception to something Robert Dirk did.
And it was Tkachuk trying to get at Robert Dirk, and now the Canucks have gone in on Keith Tkachuk. It's Greg Adams trying to get at him. Tkachuk was off the ice, remember, for a 10-minute misconduct in the second period, hadn't been involved. But here he gets involved in the third period. With only 2:28 left, I'm sure Tkachuk will now get the early shower.
Fan threw something on the ice, and to the credit of the rest of the fans, they started to get on whoever threw that on the ice, so they'll take a while to sort this out.
Out of all this, the Winnipeg Jets get a power play as Trevor Linden jumped in. It was Dirk and Tkachuk, and they were involved in the second period. When Tkachuk got his 10-minute misconduct, he kept mouthing off to Dirk over the officials in the penalty box, got a 10-minute misconduct.
And while they continue to clean the ice, we'll take our final break. 8-2 Vancouver.
The bullpen's warming up, and oh, just in time. Mercy, that's 6 home runs in a row. Manager Whitey Fabian is trying to keep his cool as he signals for some relief. Whoa, look who's coming up next. And Letchford gets the call?
Tired of facing the heat? Well, right now, Mazda's offering air conditioning or an equivalent credit on 323, the 4-door Protege, the sporty Miata, the roomy MPV, and Mazda trucks. Beat the heat with air from Mazda.
Letchford won't get out of the car.
Now this is how it all starts. A shot on Kirk McLean, and look at Dirk is trying to handle Troy Murray. Keith Tkachuk comes in and gives Dirk the shot right there. And Dirk remembers the second period. Troy Murray is trying to keep Dirk from Tkachuk. In comes Greg Adams. And earlier in the shift, Larionov and Deblois. And the reason Deblois doesn't have his helmet is because Larionov tore it off. And there's Jerry Peetman in between. And no penalties called on that. Tkachuk's in the penalty box again. And the Jets go on the power play.
This is the worst defensive game of the year for Winnipeg. Hadn't allowed 8 goals all season. They were the #3 defensive team in the NHL this year. Jeff Paddock said this morning, actually, we're #2 because nobody counts Montreal. They're #1 every year.
3 times, and Calgary, Edmonton, Edmonton and the Quebec Nordiques surprisingly scored 7 goals against the Winnipeg Jets.
Jets 0 for 4 with the man advantage tonight. And an offside call here with 2:05 to go.
Jets will be glad to get this one over. Chartering back to Winnipeg. Vancouver Canucks are leaving right after the game. Look at the difference in the bench. The Winnipeg bench with the heads hung low. Not much cheering there. Rick Tabarachi, Igor Ulanov, and here, look at this bench. Vancouver Canucks enjoying this one. Adrian Plazik without the visor on tonight, took it off. Game 4, he had to have it on.
Housley will set it up. Hits the line, drops it in. Melnick got his stick up high on Ryan Walter. And there's Kahn. His only goal in the series, shorthanded, turns, fills some time, and then sends it down. Fans like that. Housley hands it off. Davidoff, another rocket. That went wide. Shannon behind the goal. Davidoff couldn't reach it. Plavsic has a chance to clear and does with 53 seconds left in the power play.
It looks like the Winnipeg Jets are almost on that charter already. Not a whole lot of jump here on this power play.
Up ahead it goes to Broughton. Flips it into the zone. Shannon giving chase. Chopped by Lidster. Broughton back to Shannon. At the point, Housley. Shot. Under a minute to go now as McLean made the save and the Canucks clear. And these fans will salute the Canucks for a tremendous effort under pressure in Game 5 tonight. But still wary that this may be their last look at the Canucks this season at home. Not if they play like this on Tuesday. Penalty's over. They're back at full strength, and we'll let this Pacific Coliseum sellout crowd take the final seconds down. With a tenth of a second to go as Cronin and Sandlak eyed each other.
John Cronin went over and challenged Jim Sandlak. They let the clock run down. The Vancouver Canucks played like a first-place club tonight. Arthur Griffith has to be pleased. The fans are pleased. Dominated from the opening drop of the faceoff. They had the good forechecking going. They went to the net very well. They got in front of Rick Tabarachi. They passed the puck well. They executed around the net well. They did everything well. They took the body defensively in their own zone. Kirk McLean played well. When the score was still even, and the only reason it was even was because of the play of Rick Tabarachi in the first period. You look at the Winnipeg Jets casually walking in the morning.
Capitalized. The power play chance was converted by the home team. The lead was theirs. Randy Cunneyworth made another power play work in period number 2. The Whalers sensed the kill. A tale of 2 goalies continue to focus on Patrick Roy. His net became a gathering place by design. Meantime, Frank Pietrangelo was a singular force. His third period heroics kept Hartford afloat. Pietrangelo made the difference. Given up for dead after Game 2, Hartford had it tied after 4. And the year of the Whale is far from over. Tonight, the scene's just to Montreal in springtime. The Whalers and Canadiens will break the tie in Game 5 at the... For Game 5, the Canadiens return to the friendly confines of the Montreal Forum. Home is where the heart is and where Hartford has not won. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC, the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm Scott Russell. Well, this series is now tied back in Montreal, and after tonight's game, someone faces the brink of playoff elimination. The Vancouver Canucks avoided playoff elimination last night with a win over the Winnipeg Jets in their Smythe Division Series. Ron McLean and Don Cherry are in Winnipeg tonight preparing for Game 6. They will appear in the Molson Canadian Report during our intermissions. In our booth tonight, the three wise men of hockey, Bob Cole, Harry Neal, and Dick Irvin, to call the play-by-play Game 5 between the Montreal Canadiens and the Hartford Whalers. This has been